to call to order the Haverford Township Planning Commission meeting for June 13th, 2019. Lisa, could you please call roll?
Mr. Capuzzi?
Here.
Mr. Reardon?
Here.
Mr. Gallman?
Here.
Mr. D'Amelio? Mr. Fiordamondo? Mr. Poynton?
Here.
Mr. Russo?
Okay, I'd like everyone to please rise and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on our agenda this evening is the land development for Mr. Storage at 850 North Eagle Road.
My name is Louis Gilmore, and I'm one of the partners. My son Louis is another partner, and Bob Hannig is the third partner. So I thought I'd take just 2 minutes. I think one or two of you maybe not have been here when we did the sketch plan, and then a couple of years ago when we did the original plan. So let me give you just a 2-second history, and I'll go through it quickly because we want to get to the engineering aspects of this job. The sketch plan that you approved was in August, I believe, of 2018. And just to give you an idea, this was the plan at that time. The building as such, or my hand, I have to hold it, so to keep it held. And the plan right now is this building, which is essentially the same location, and it's changed configuration a little bit because we had some misinformation about a setback line. But there are very few changes. The parking and the driveway and most of the other aspects of the plan have stayed the same as when you unanimously approved us the first time around. Since that time, we've been to zoning in January, February, and March because we had a continuation. They ran out of time at 11 o'clock at night, and a field trip by the zoning board. We were unanimously approved by the zoning board with almost entirely the same zoning variances that we had on the first phase. Most of those zoning variances are a result of the EPA situation because, as you know, we're all sitting on a cap and it's a contaminated piece of property, Superfund site, and we've worked with the EPA for all these years and have never had an issue, and they've had all the documentation, such as the documentation you have. It's all been sent to Josh Barber at the EPA and Colin at the PADEP. So they've seen everything. I don't have an approval for them because they won't approve it until you've given your final approval. And I have the building permits or the building data completed, which will happen very shortly. But just to give you the history of those who didn't know about it, I went into this business in about 1978, and I've built somewhere between 15 and 18 projects. But I also and we have 7 projects still in the Philadelphia area, but at the same time, I own a company called Miller Buildings along with my son Louis, and we build steel buildings as the one we built. So the product there is basically our product that we manufacture in Myerstown, PA. And I would say that since the time that we bought the company in 1988, we've done thousands of buildings of all types, all up and down, primarily the East Coast, but also in other parts of the country. So we've been in this business for a long, long time and have done a lot. And I think that shows, if any of you have had an opportunity to be through our building or see our site, I think it's been a good project. That project, by the way, opened in January of 2017. And as I said, I've opened up a lot of sites, and maybe one that I opened in Northeast Philadelphia filled up faster. But this one filled up in 12 months. And when I say filled up, right up to the point where we had like 5 vacancies. And since that time, in the last year and a half, we've literally been full, where we might have anywhere from 6 or 7 vacancies to none. And we have a waiting list right now. So, and a large percentage of the users of our facility are from Haverford Township. So there's a need in this market, and there's literally almost no land available, and certainly not industrially zoned land for this use. So this is sort of a rare situation. We're very fortunate that we have the opportunity to expand and fulfill that need. And the way we're expanding, from a business standpoint, to give you an idea, it's, we have the footprint is 20,000 square feet on the first building and 11,000 square feet roughly on the second building. So it's a 55% increase. So we're really not doubling the space. And by the market studies that we've done over the years for our customers and for ourselves, the size of the project when we complete it is still not a very large project. The majors like Public Storage, CubeSmart, Extra Space build larger facilities than we have when we're completed. So I think we're going to fill the need in the market, and I think we've done a good job so far in cooperating with the township. We've had no objections, no problems as far as the township is concerned, and no problems as far as the public's concerned. So that's pretty much what we're planning on doing. And I think now the devil is in the details. So it's, I'd like to have our engineer get into the details. So, but does anybody have any questions? I'll be here, obviously, but any background questions? Yes.
I have a couple. There's an elevator in the existing building, correct?
Yes.
Will there be one in the new building?
Yes.
Okay. And there's a link that connects the two buildings?
Yes.
But that's only at the second and third floor levels, or
All 3 floors.
all 3 floors?
We're going to bring the elevation up, which is about 2 to 2.5 feet on the existing lot in the back, up to the same level, so it'll be a direct walk-through from one location to the other. Yes.
Okay.
We
so
can't really bring the buildings together very easily. We have customers in there, number one, and it's difficult to attach. So there's a 10-foot walkway between the two.
Right. And in that 10-foot walkway, you'll have drainage facilities in that 10-foot walkway?
Yes, that's
which will
correct.
have to pass underneath the connector link.
The par-
Those utilities will have to pass underneath the connector link.
It's only the only utilities that are back there that would have to go underneath are the underground drainage from the downspouts.
Right. Okay.
Both buildings' roofs will come in together, and both will drain to that spot and then go into the basin.
Okay. All right. Does anyone on the board have any questions they'd like to ask Mr. Gilmore?
Building will be built of similar materials or
The
finish?
building will be built almost exactly as the first building. In fact, I mean, from the footings on up to the roof, I don't think we're changing anything. It's going to look the same, be the same structure.
And I believe you said last time it would probably not be very visible from Eagle Road, the addition?
No,
Is that your
it's
belief?
because now, as you see on the new plan, it's pushed back. It used to have a little visibility on this corner right here, but we pushed it back because of this setback. It's now literally behind the building almost entirely. So it will not really have any visibility from Eagle Road.
And any new signage proposed for this addition?
No, the only thing that was mentioned, that Chuck mentioned, which is good, we didn't put it on the plans, but we have to have directional signs, stop sign and a directional sign on that access road in the back. We'll probably put something, we have a canopy, and we'd probably put our name on the canopy, that's it. Just not for advertising, because all the advertising is from the front, but just so people know that it's there, that are driving back there.
Isn't there a sign as you enter from Hillcrest onto that access road that lists all the
Yes,
properties that
Yes.
use that access road? Would you be adding to that, I assume?
I think we can.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, I'll turn it over to Dennis.
Dennis, before you start, I just have one quick question. The plan that the zoning board saw, was it this plan?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Good evening, my name's Dennis O'Neill. I'm an engineer with Herbert McCumbie's office, and we're the civil consultant for Mr. Gilmore. The applicant is proposing kind of a three-phase subdivision, reverse subdivision, land development. But we're proposing to subdivide 27,850 square feet of land from what we call Track 1 on our plans, which is to the top side of the plan, which is owned by 1315 Lawrence Road Holdings. And we're going to combine that by reverse subdivision with the land currently owned by Haverford Mr. Storage, which is to the lower side of my plan. And then after the subdivision, reverse subdivision, we're proposing to build this addition, which Lou referred to. The total building coverage when we're done will be just over 32,500 square feet of footprint. We have received a variance to permit 33.37% building coverage on the site. In addition to that, we've received a number of variances with regard to impervious cover. There's about 94% impervious cover on both of these sites. The 1315 Holdings is mostly gravel. There's a building on the site. It's currently used as storage, outdoor storage. They rent to various people who need places to park vehicles and things like that, which is a permitted use in the zoning district. That site will be reduced by the 27,800 square feet, which will be added to Mr. Storage. Also, as part of our impervious calculation, because of the impermeable cap that's underneath the soil, it's considered impervious. There's no infiltration, there's no groundwater which seeps into the groundwater table. That being said, there's still a lot of grass area over there, which does help promote some runoff retention. It eventually works its way down into a retention basin to the Hillcrest side of the property. But we needed a number of variances just because of the existing impervious conditions. Because when they built the cap, they filled the site with soil, they created a large area of very steep slopes coming down off the side of the fill area, 2-to-1 slopes. So we approached the zoning hearing board and received a variance to disturb those steep slopes as part of this project. As Lou mentioned, we're going to be filling the site to get the building to the same floor levels. All that area was steep slope. It dropped straight off the back. So we're not disturbing them in the sense that we're going to cause runoff problems. We're disturbing them because we're trying to fill to get to a level site. We also presented testimony at the zoning hearing board and received a variance for parking requirements. Lou studied the parking on the original building and received a variance to reduce the number of parking spaces. And likewise, we did on this one by ordinance. A building of this footprint would have required 35 parking spaces.
Sorry, how many?
35. We've presented testimony and requested a variance to permit the 6 spaces that are shown, and we have 1 space for what I refer to as a U-Haul or a single axle cube type van truck. And that's really based on what we saw in the units in the front. There was never a point where there was a conflict with parking at the site. In accordance with the zoning ordinance 713B any site that has nonconformities, we had to get relief from the zoning hearing board just to subdivide it because of the nonconformities. Access, we're providing an access driveway from the access road that was referred to off of Hillcrest. Was presented to the zoning hearing board, and as I will present to you, there's some question about how these entrances interact. All customers will at first be directed to the front main entrance. And then once they've rented their unit and know that their unit is in the back of the building, then they'll be permitted to use the back entrance to access their unit. So there won't be as many, not everyone will have to go to the back, not everyone will have to go to the front, but that first initial contact with Mr. Storage will be through their front office. We're proposing a stormwater management basin in the, under the parking area of the proposed building. We are meeting the township's peak rate runoff requirements. We're reducing the 2-year to the 1-year, and we're meeting the other storm requirements. As I mentioned, the site is fully encumbered by the cap, so we're prevented by EPA to infiltrate water into the ground. So we are requesting relief from the township water quality requirements of the stormwater management ordinance. Typically, in the plans that I presented, we meet that water quality through infiltration devices. And we're taking water out of the stream by doing it. Here we can't do that. So we're asking for relief. In the first phase of the job, we were granted relief in the form of a fee in lieu of, which the applicant paid to the township to make water quality improvements in other parts of the township. We're willing to work with the township to determine a location where a project, water quality project, may be built by us or an appropriate fee paid in order to get water quality in the same watershed, but just not on the Superfund site. There's as part of the project, we are dedicating a 15-foot wide easement to the northerly side of the new 27,000 square foot track, which extends the 15-foot easement that we provided for future trail consideration, so that now that trail runs from Eagle Road all the way back into that access.
Could you point that out on the plan then?
Currently, there's an access easement which runs from Eagle Road along the northerly property line to the back of the existing parcel. We are extending that 15-foot easement back all the way to the back of the property that we're acquiring, which would come out to the access road. It's my understanding that at the preliminary or sketch plan meeting, there was discussion of a fee in lieu of recreation or open space, and we were asked to consider extending this easement as part of our fee or open space requirements. Essentially, I've received the township engineer's letter. There's a couple of issues I'd like to discuss specifically.
Yeah, why don't you go through the issues that you'd like to discuss, rather than go through each of the items individually, and then we'll have a chance to talk about the items we want to discuss also, okay?
Okay, thank you. The first item 1 and 2 in zoning. We understand that as part of the subdivision process, we've essentially opened up track 1, 1315 to zoning and subdivision land development requirements. It's my understanding that that is the genesis of those two comments, in that our plan is really focused on the Haverford Mr. Storage and not what's happening on 1315. I would ask that the Planning Commission consider a recommendation to the commissioners that landscape buffering and other items in 1 and 2, 182, 718B2, and 1718D1, be deferred until you review a pending land development for 1315. We have been authorized to begin that development once we get through this. So we're looking for input from the Planning Commission as to whether they feel that would be an appropriate method to address those two issues.
So your opinion is comments 1 and 2 refer to the frontage along Lawrence Road?
That is correct.
Is that, okay. All right, so the way we could handle that, you're suggesting, is by putting a note on the plan indicating that any future development on track 1 would require compliance with those two comments?
Yes,
Okay, so you would make that note accordingly on the title plan?
we would do that, yes. The next comments that I'd like to specifically discuss, 8, 9, and 10. 8, 9, and 10, I believe, from my reading of the letter, deal with sidewalk, curb, and street lighting on the access road from Hillcrest Drive. We believe that, well, we know based on our land title work that that is a private access road. There are the parties that own the properties behind it are granted the right to use that road. And it's not a public right-of-way. And it was our interpretation that we didn't, because it was a private access and not public right-of-way, that these sections didn't apply. If the Planning Commission believes that they do apply, we would request a waiver from sidewalk. There is some curb along one side of the road, but not both. And there's street lighting. None of the businesses back there operate at a time when I think it would be important for street lighting. So because it's an industrial use and the access and the people going back there, we just don't believe that those items are a good idea to put them back there.
I'd like to comment on that because we've tried to work that out, but my understanding is that's owned by the Army Corps of Engineers. And the Army Corps of Engineers has indicated they wanted to dedicate it to the EPA, and the EPA wants to dedicate it to the township. So it's very difficult to get an answer or response on anything regarding that access road, other than all the people in the back have access to it. It's been there for years, but for us to try and do something there, I think may take forever, if it can be done at all.
Who built that road, Joe?
I believe that was part of the land development when they did the treatment plant there, and put the cap on.
There was other access to that area that was relocated at that time.
And at least from what I could see on your drawings, there is a sidewalk that runs along the south side of that access road that goes back from Hillcrest pretty far?
Not real far.
Not real
but
far?
It does go back in there.
Okay, and as far as pedestrian access to your site, I mean theoretically, they could access the site through the existing building. They
Through
wouldn't-
Eagle Road, that's correct.
No one would probably walk all the way around.
No.
Okay.
The other part too is our frontage on that access road is really rather small, and it's taken up by those two, by the access drive and the emergency access drive that we're putting in.
Yeah,
If it's-
I don't have an answer for you. Obviously, the path of least resistance is ask for waivers.
Yeah, and I think that's what I would probably tend to do. 14 I talked about with the open space. We'll put a note on the plan, on the title plan, that we're offering that easement for open space dedication. And then if the board of commissioners would feel that if there was a more value, then we would consider some fee that make up the difference.
Did you pay a fee for your initial development?
We did, yes.
Do you remember off the top of your head how much you paid?
I don't.
52,000?
Okay.
I wanted to talk about the fire department access a little bit. That was a big topic at the zoning hearing board. We are providing an access road behind our building. And the purpose of that access road is really twofold. It's to be able to get fire truck accessibility to the rear of our building. And it's also to get access to the other lands of 1315 Lawrence Road Holdings. As we agreed to with the zoning hearing board, that road is going to be designed to carry the weight of the largest vehicle, which I believe is a ladder truck that weighs 100,000 pounds. And I think the reason this whole discussion came about was we asked for a variance for providing a loading dock, loading and unloading zone. And the reason we asked for that was because the site is prohibited from large vehicles traveling on top of the cap. So there was a lot of discussion about, well, if you can't have large vehicles on top of the cap, how are you putting an access road back there? And we had an engineer, structural engineer, review the depth of the cap, the composition of our buildup of the road, and demonstrate that it met the capacity to carry that vehicle. So that's, we did get the variance for the loading dock, and we are providing the access road. And I will comply with Chuck's comments about doing turning radiuses to show that the fire truck can access in there. And as part of that, there was a lot of questions about putting signage to prevent people from pulling in there and parking on that road. So we'll put signage in there that prevents that parking. And other than those items, the rest of these items are, I think, pretty clear, and we're able to address them. And I'm willing to take any questions that you may have for the other issues.
You're going to say you're going to comply with the rest of the comments then?
Yes.
I just want to point out that in item 35, because I just happened to notice this afternoon when I was reading through stuff, between metal and in at the end of the first line of night, there should be the word pipe, so that it makes sense as to what it is, the corrugated metal pipe. Okay?
Thank you.
Just an omission.
I had understood that because we had a conversation about that point.
I want to get a better sense of item 1, back to the 20-foot buffer. That's regarding the Lawrence Road edge? Can you point that out on the plan where that?
Yes, that's regarding the frontage of 1315's property along Lawrence Road. So there's an access drive for the Swiss Farms, which comes back out to Lawrence. That's actually on its own property.
Right.
So everything to the upper side of that plan, I believe it's about 270 feet that
Can I show you this? Is this the area in question? This is,
that is
okay.
there is an existing sidewalk curve, so the question is then buffering.
Right.
This frontage along Eagle Road there was landscaping and stuff done in accordance with the Eagle Road plan.
Right.
When we did the plan, and we really have no other street frontage.
Right.
So,
But it's fair to say that this project isn't possible without parcel from 1315, and therefore it would be fair to request that 1315 be, because I think any reasonable person could say, looking at this is a completely, non-contributing, unacceptable looking area of, mess, right? Are the sidewalks going to be repaired? Are the curbs going to be repaired?
There's a note on the plan that substandard sidewalk and curb should be repaired.
Right, so like if a transfer from like a homeowner when they sell and
Right.
they have a hairline crack in their sidewalk and they have to fix the hairline crack where like the whole 200 feet of yours is,
Yeah, I think when you see the land development plan that comes in, you'll see that this will change in here. There's been some substantial cleanup on that site already. There was a grove of some wildly growing trees and brush, and they've all been cleared out. And so the improvements are beginning, and we're just getting to the phase where we're going to start designing the land development across the front there.
so there are further changes coming to
Yes,
to
and
this area?
we're at a point where we're going to need to go to the zoning hearing board because of the steep slopes that come off of Lawrence Road. So we're going to have to get steep slope variances and then design our improvements.
Will you come back to this board for that design, or will it be done a different way?
Yeah, we'll have to come
Okay.
back to the planning commission.
Thank you.
To clarify, there's going to be a note put to this effect, right?
I'm good.
Okay. My turn. General note number 14 refers to a highway permit. I assume that's left over from the original development. You're not doing any work on Eagle Road that would require a PennDOT permit, are you?
That is correct.
So no, 14 isn't applicable?
We put the note on a plan when we bought a state highway.
You're offering an additional 10 foot of right-of-way on Lawrence Road,
Yes,
and that's a state highway.
yes.
And it's my understanding PennDOT doesn't take additional right-of-way unless there's a need for it.
That is correct.
Okay. So that offer of dedication is to the township?
It is to the applicable authority as to who would take it.
Well, if PennDOT won't take it,
Well, PennDOT won't take it now, but if they were to ever try to improve the Lawrence Road, Eagle Road intersection and maybe add another turning lane or something, they would want and need some land. Part of the reason we're offering it is, as we move forward in the land development, we don't want to be right up against that right of way and then have them come and try to take land.
okay, so the offer of dedication, I think you need to add a note to the drawing, basically saying that's an irrevocable offer of dedication,
Okay?
okay? So that 10 years from now, someone decides they need to do something on there, no one can say, well, you can't have it because it wasn't dedicated.
Yeah.
But it's irrevocable, okay? I assume you're going to bringing in a certain amount of fill to build up your pad site?
We are, yes.
Okay, and the access to the work site has to be through the existing access road off of Hillcrest?
Yes.
Okay. You think it's a good idea that you take before and after photographs and videos of that road, just to make sure that if it gets beat up by your construction vehicles, you guys come back and take care of whatever damage may have been done?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay. Well, we'll have
put
to
it-
make sure whatever we agree to here, Dennis, ends up as a note on the drawing. at
Yeah, I'm
least.
making notes of it now to add to the plan.
The discharge from your stormwater management basin is, ultimate discharge point is into the existing basin
Yes,
that EPA or whoever built, right?
that's correct. And all of that drainage area now goes to that point.
And what drainage watershed are you in?
Drainage watershed.
Which watershed is this name, I
The
mean,
Nailers Run.
Darby Creek,
Naaman's Run.
Nailers Run, is that?
Name,
Run?
is it Naaman's, I think it is, isn't it? Is it or
I
Nailers?
think it's
Run?
Nailers
Sorry.
Run. Yeah.
the Cobb's?
And it goes into Cobb's.
Yeah.
And when you built your detention system for the original project, did you provide some type of contribution for not doing quality?
We
stormwater?
did, yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. Chuck, would this be in the same watershed that the Chatham Glen project is located? That's
You're
Cobb's Creek, isn't it?
It's Cobb's, but this is Naylor's Run, which runs into Cobb's, so it's
But it does it through,
technically, you're asking whether we can do something in that.
It's in the Atlantic Ocean watershed, right?
it goes behind the quarry.
Yeah.
Okay, there are relatively inexpensive devices you can put into inlets to help treat the first flush of runoff inlet filters. Now, I know you probably can't meet all the requirements for water quality, but at least you can do something at the points of discharge into the system to try to get that, at least some of the materials out of the first flush. And I would recommend that you consider doing those. You have 2 inlets that drain into your basin, it looks like. So 2 water quality filters that may require maintenance twice a year or something like that might be at least a good faith effort in providing some type of water quality.
That's fine. We'll certainly look at those.
I have a couple questions about the Township Engineer's review letter. The first is comment number 4. I think there might be a typo there. I think should be track 1 that has the area inconsistency, not track 2.
Okay. Yeah, because I was looking for that myself.
And will you be requiring water and sewer service for the addition?
No, there are no
No
restrooms,
facilities?
no facilities.
Are there facilities in the existing building?
There are, yes.
Okay. The employees more than anybody, right?
And public, yeah. There will be an extension of sprinkler lines, but that'll be through the existing building.
Okay. It looks as though in looking through the comments in general, there's several waivers that you will be requesting, none of which have shown up on your
They have
plan
not
yet.
yet, no.
Okay. All right. So that has to be taken care of. It's my opinion that, I mean, you're asking for preliminary final approval. There's a lot of items in here that haven't been addressed. I think, to be fair to us, fair to you, I think you need to at least take a shot at addressing these comments as best as possible and come back before we take any action on the plan.
Yeah, and we have no objection to that. I think we intended that tonight would be more of a conversation about the site while we address these issues.
Okay.
I think we're going to try to be back in time for the July 25th meeting.
July 25th?
Yeah.
Not 2 weeks from tonight.
No, I couldn't turn it around that fast. My client would like me to, but
Yeah, I don't have anything else, Dennis, tonight. Anyone else before we let these guys go? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming in.
thank you. I appreciate the comments.
Thank you, gentlemen. Dennis.
Just for the record.
That was Stone's for?
I'm trying to make it better.
I hope you do. I wish you good luck with all that.
See this, we buy ugly houses, and I've been doing it, never imagined.
Yeah. Well, sounds like you got plans, so
He's working on that.
good.
We're trying to do one step.
Good.
The government does own the exit road.
Okay.
We're working with them now because I'm buying, the building behind it is direct collision. That will, that's in litigation.
Okay, so I don't know anything about it, verifying, that's stuck.
But we have to get the access, the rights to the road back from the government if they took the main road. That's what, we're working on that, so that'll be shown when we go to sell.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Okay, next item on our agenda is a sewage facility planning module for 217 Walnut Hill Lane. Basically, what this is we're telling the DEP that from a planning perspective, the township has no objections to the proposed development on Walnut Hill Lane, which is a subdivision that this board recommended approval for a couple months back. So I'll make a motion that we approve or recommend approval of component 4A of the municipal planning agency review for 217 Walnut Hill Lane.
And I'll second that.
Lisa, could you take roll, please? Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then we now have, next item is review of minutes, and we have 2 sets of minutes we're reviewing tonight? 4?
Clear the deck.
Okay. I see April 11th, March 14th, February 28th, and January 24th.
Those are you just gonna do.
Let me see. Yeah, let's do them individually since I don't know who was here. All right, so I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the January 24th, 2019 Planning Commission meeting. And members present were myself, Mr. Reardon, Mr. Poynton.
I'll second that.
3 of the 5 who were here are present tonight.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that's a vote 3-0 with 2 abstaining.
One.
1 abstaining, sorry. Okay, the next set of minutes is from our February 28th, 2019 meeting. And board members present were myself, Mr. Reardon, Mr. Galman, Mr. Freemondo, and Mr. Poynton. So 4 of the 5 members are present tonight who were at that meeting, so we can vote on that set of minutes. I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of the February 28th, 2019 meeting.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so that passes 4-0. The next set of minutes is from our meeting on March 14th, 2019. And present at that time were myself, Mr. Reardon, Mr. Freemondo, and Mr. Galman. So 3 of the 4 members at that meeting are present, so we can vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
We have-
Time out.
Skip 2 steps.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of the March 14th meeting.
I'll second it.
There we go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we're good.
And the last set of meetings is from April 11th, 2019. Myself, Mr. Reardon, and Mr. Poynton were present. So 3 of the 4 present are here tonight. So I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of April 11th, 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that's a 3-0 vote with 1 abstain. And I think that's it. I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.